Generally, the knowledge was lost when people went away. Now there's an opportunity to actually capture the knowledge that we have in people's brain. It can provide better contextual answers, but can actually start to do things for us. So we can just ask it, hey, what's happening in sales, or ask it more difficult, complicated question, but has got all of the information about your organization, and it can provide a much better context. First of all, to have an AI brain, there are two things. First is a place where you can actually store the knowledge. The second thing is sanitization of the information before it goes into the brain.
Most of you will probably have the same thing where you sit there and just go, oh, my world just needs more sticky notes. I think what I need is an AI brain.
Absolutely. And then it gets really magical once you start to introduce tacit knowledge into it.
All right, so tell me, how do we get tacit knowledge into an AI brain? Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of The Dumb Monkey Show. I'm your host, Davina Montgomery, and I'm joined, as always, by co-host, founder of the Dumb Monkey Academy and general AI whiz, Amir Katub. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Now, I had a really lovely conversation with you leading up to this episode, and we were wondering about what we were going to talk about. And you said, hey, I want to talk about an AI brain.
Yes. AI brain. Yes, that's what we need.
Tell me.
If you look at ChatGPT or any of these AI models, they are really good, but they are like this very genius person who's sitting in the middle of Fed Square, and you're going to this person saying, hey, can you tell me about this? And it can give you information, but has been trained on a whole lot of data. It could be crap data, blog written by a 10 years old, or whatever is out there on the internet. But it doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't have any context about.
Or gives us those wonderful ChatGPT answers that are very generic and sound really certain about things, but they don't actually say a whole lot.
That's right. Yes. And you can give it a bit of context and say, hey, I'm from this organization, blah, 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 give it some instruction and so on. It can give you some answers, but then still requires you to give it a lot of information to provide the answer. Imagine taking this genius person, bringing him to your office or home, sobering him up because it's hallucinating, and then giving all of the information and knowledge that you have in terms of all of your databases and systems, which we call as structured data, CRMs, accounts, and so on. All of the information that's in your emails, your meetings, which we call as unstructured data. It could be your documents, procedures, client communications, all of that information. And then every information that is in people's brain. You introduced me to the term tacit knowledge, and I've been just throwing it around like I invented it. So
I totally stole it from an AI expert or a few AI experts.
So the tacit knowledge.
Thank you, Raj. Tacit knowledge came from you.
Oh, really? Okay. So tacit knowledge, thanks, Raj, is basically the information that's sitting within people's mind in your organization. And there's so much of that.
So much.
There was no clear way to capture it. We did it in terms of like when we were doing handovers and so on. But generally, the knowledge was lost when people went away. Now there's an opportunity to actually capture the knowledge that we have in people's brain. So bringing the knowledge that we have got in unstructured data, structured data, and tacit knowledge, and then having a central knowledge base or a brain in a way that AI can actually access it and then provide information and take actions from there is what we call as AI brain.
Yeah.
So this person who is the genius person is now in our office and has got access to all of the knowledge and all of the information. It can provide us more better contextual answers, but can actually start to do things for us. So we can just ask it, hey, what's happening in sales, or ask it more difficult, complicated question, but has got all of the information about your organization, and it can provide a much better context.
So this sounds really cool. It sounds very sci-fi. And I say this as someone who walked in on her teenage sons watching 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And a great movie
it was an amazing movie, classic movie, but it was a future-looking movie that was looking into the future of 2001 with an absolutely genius computer on a spaceship that very clearly, and I didn't remember this from previously watching the movie, but it really struck me because this computer system is saying, None of our model has ever made a mistake. We are absolutely perfect. We are absolutely foolproof. And this was 2001. And I'm like, well, it's 2025 and I haven't seen one of those yet.
Yes. Yeah.
But it shows you that this has been sitting there in our collective consciousness because, sci-fi references the future thinking. It's the what ifs of the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this sounds really enticing, Amir. And I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's kind of where we're going. It's where a lot of us would like to be. But how do you set up an AI brain that's specific to your organization, but is also safe and reliable, or as safe and as reliable as possible? Yeah. I think we raised it last episode.
That's
what was
right.
it? Something around, we'll all make mistakes. Don't feel bad about it. It's okay. We just need to keep asking the dumb monkey questions. But within the bounds of that, how do we do it?
So, look, there's no...
Because I want one. It sounds great.
There's no one clear tool or technology. You can't buy an AI brain, and
that's disappointing.
It is, yes, yeah. But it's definitely possible to actually create almost a pseudo AI brain.
Do you have an AI brain, Amir?
In our organization, yes, we do, and we have.
Does it have a name?
No. This
2001: A Space Odyssey. It was called HAL.
Right. We have got name for our AI agents. I don't know why we don't have a name for AI brain.
Okay, well, you need to go back and start chatting to your AI brain to give itself a name.
Maybe because I think it's just bigger than it's a bigger creation. It's you know how you can still name an agent. AI brain is just much bigger than everything that we have. So this. But we also have actually worked with a few organizations to develop an AI brain for them as well. How you can actually do it is first of all, to have an AI brain, there are two things. First is a place where you can actually store the knowledge, and then of course a model that can access that knowledge. Now you can do something which is where you can actually use, for example, your Microsoft environment, right?
Yeah.
The way you can develop a pseudo AI brain in Microsoft environment is that you can use your SharePoint as the knowledge where you store all of the information. And then especially the unstructured information. So you can have a very specific folder where you can call it AI brain, and you can start to fetch information that you would want AI to access around your procedure, policies, and so on. For the structured data that's sitting in your CRMs and things like that, there are two things that you can do. One is that with your Copilot agents or Studio, what you can do is there's something which is a bit technical called MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. But think of it as in such a way that, how if you have to ask from a CRM, what are the sales figure for this period, you actually would do a search query. So you need to develop an integration through which you can do that search query through your ChatGPT or Copilot, and then it can provide the information. So, and then if you want to take an action, then it can actually perform that action as well. So you need to develop that integration. That's one way to achieve it. The second way to achieve it is that if you just want to have access to the information, is to set up some simple automations that exports a report out of your Salesforce, all of these systems, and then dump them into a folder in SharePoint that AI has access to.
Okay.
So that you can just say, hey, what was the sales till last night or something like that. And then you have got that information, because all of that information is coming from different systems and then being stored in your SharePoint.
This still sounds like complete magic to me. And I'm saying that as a 40-something woman who, any woman out there will, or most of you will probably have the same thing where you sit there and just go, oh, my world just needs more sticky notes. I think what I need is an AI brain.
Absolutely. And then it gets really magical once you start to introduce tacit knowledge into it.
All right. So tell me, how do we get tacit knowledge, thank you, Raj, into an AI brain?
A lot of tacit knowledge that lives within our employee's brain or people's brain. What you can do is you can develop a simple AI agent that could actually, where you could feed the job description and say, this is the person that we need to extract the tacit knowledge from with their whole permission and consent and everything. Help us design an interview session where we could actually start to ask some question and extract that knowledge.
So you're framing a conversation, you're getting the AI to frame the conversation with the person that you want to extract the information from. And then it gets stored.
Then you have that conversation. So either AI have that conversation, and that would be a great tool to develop. I would probably want to develop that as a startup idea. If someone else doesn't develop it.
Yeah, do it quick.
Yes. But
next week, Amir's AI brain.
Yes.
It'll have a name.
That's right.
Probably drawn from science fiction, but we'll come back to that.
So what we have done so far within the organization is get that agent to come up with an interview structure and the questions that we would ask in that interview. And then you would conduct that interview with the person and say, oh, okay, all right, Davina, you do comms for Deakin. Okay. So what is the process of if you have to talk about a new product or new research that you guys are working on, what do? You say, okay, I do this, blah, blah, blah. Where do you look for this information? How do you do that? And you continue to ask those questions. And then what you can do with that is that then you can transcribe all of that information because you've got it, and then get AI to actually convert it into a knowledge piece. And from there, you could actually have follow-on interview session. You can't capture all of the information that's in person's brain in one session. It could be multiple sessions through which you can capture the information. That's first way. The second way is if you want to see how a person is interacting on their systems. So you can put a simple agent on the system, again, with the person's consent.
Yeah, please be transparent. Yes. Please tell people you're doing this. Please ask their permission first. Please tell them what the use case is, where it's going to be used, where the data is going to be stored.
That's right. Yes. And then what it can do is it can actually start to watch that person doing in terms of like, there's a tool on Mac called Rewind as well, REWIND, that actually watches what you are doing, watches your meeting and everything, and captures everything and stores every information. So if I had to ask it, hey, I had a meeting with someone and they referred to a movie, what was that movie about? It can actually find me that information. So it's about watching what they are doing on their system.
That's so cool. That is magic.
Yes. So you put that agent that's watching how they are performing a particular task, and that can create your manuals, that can create the whole knowledge through which an AI agent can start to learn the things. Then the third thing is, and that's more if you want to capture the knowledge of people that are out there, as you can actually have cameras that can actually look at people doing a particular task on a machine and things like that.
So for a manual task or a manual process, so for instance, a carpenter.
Yes.
So a master carpenter might be producing something. He wants to be able to train his team, or he's got someone that he's working with an apprentice or multiple apprentices that he wants to train, or she wants to train. I'm going to make it her because come on.
Yeah.
And so she can be doing that task, she can step through it, and then it can be recorded, edited down into here's a how-to.
100%, yes. But also if there are conversations between multiple people, if someone is like a sports player, if it's a recording of a court case like this, it's got applications everywhere.
It can be everywhere, can't it? I mean,
yeah.
And I'm thinking about it, fields particularly where it can be difficult to find expertise. So I'm thinking in cases of education.
Yes.
In teachers. I mean, we have teachers with incredible amounts of tacit knowledge that has been embedded over decades of them learning, and that they don't, they have to stop and write down a whole lot of reports, but they don't necessarily sit down and write down what they do.
Absolutely,
they're writing a lot about what other people are doing in the same way that a lot of healthcare professionals are writing about their patients, but not about themselves. So how do we get that knowledge out of them?
And it's not overly technical, with
their permission.
100%, yes. So like with ChatGPT, how you can talk to ChatGPT on voice.
Yes.
You can turn the video on as well.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT can see what you are doing. So if you put ChatGPT, with ChatGPT on, you can
be mindful of your environment. Check what's behind you before you do that.
Yes, and I would never use it with my family or my kids.
No.
So, yes, yeah. So, but with ChatGPT on, I can get it to watch what I'm doing and actually describe what I'm doing as well. So it's very you can capture what is being done, and then you can again convert that into a knowledge that can be used by your organization.
So this evil genius is wonderful, I think, there's wonderful opportunities for this in the business case. What do we need to worry about? We've pointed to a few things around, obviously, the very clear transparency, very, very upfront permission and consent. What else do we need to know?
First thing that you need to be worrying about is that you are putting all of your IP in that one knowledge base now. So you're putting all of your brain. When you talk about brain, there are a lot of movies that have been done on that principle as well.
Yeah.
It's like having worlds, all of intelligence in like one drive, and if that gets in a bad hand, like what it can do as well. So if you have got all of your organization information there, it's wonderful because now you can scale so fast and do amazing things. But what if it gets that gets leaked or something like that? Because
leaked, hacked,
somehow
gets out,
exploited,
deleted.
Yes, yeah, and also who has access to what as well.
That's a really interesting one.
Yes,
I mean, that is a really, really interesting one because there's not too many businesses or organizations where everyone in that business or organization would have access to every piece of information in it. That would be very rare. I haven't encountered it yet.
Yes.
I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't. Yes.
So how do you protect that? How do you put layers in there?
Yep. So the way generally we structure brain is for example, if you're doing it in SharePoint, you can set up different access levels in there as well. So like brain should be able to understand what information it would provide to whom and like respect the permissions and access permissions as well.
Can you put in security checks? Can you put in identification checks? Can you put levels of access in here? So secure access.
Yes, you can, because like with
and you should, I would have.
Yes, with your SharePoint, you can set up access levels on the basis of who the person is. Like they're already there.
Access.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
These are embedded.
Yes. But then once where you are setting up that brain or all of the information, how you are providing access to it and who you're providing access to what is going to be important. The second thing is sanitization of the information before it goes into the brain. Because once it's in the brain, it can come out at any time because you're still using these drunk hallucinated models that wouldn't care and then can blurt out the information.
For our listeners, tell me what you mean by sanitizing the information.
So sanitizing the information is, for example, if I'm capturing tacit knowledge, right? Now, you would be describing a lot of things that would be either confidential or not appropriate to go into my brain for whatever reason. So a system or a process to be able to remove the parts that I do not want to go into my brain before it actually goes into my brain is extremely important. Of course, you can clean up your brain later.
Yeah.
But if you're feeding your brain from every side and putting in the information.
So if you just dump everything in there and then think that you're going to be able to worry about it later, that's a problem.
Oh, that's going to be a huge problem. Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah. One of the organizations that we are implementing Copilot with, they said we want Copilot, but we do not want it to be accessible with our we should not access our SharePoint.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of having like a tool like Copilot and doesn't have access to SharePoint? They said the problem is that we do not have proper access controls on our SharePoint, and some of the files in there contain salary information of everyone in the organization.
Imagine.
And they said because it's
don't put your salary information into your.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
and then it's buried so deep within the SharePoint, they don't even know how to restrict it. So they're saying it's very difficult for humans to find that information.
Yeah.
We are not worried about.
But an AI system will be able to find it.
That's right. Yes. So knowing what is actually going into your AI brain, like even if your salary information is going in AI brain, making sure that the people who need to have access to it have access to it is important. So it can go in an AI brain. It's just your
you need to manage the restrictions around there and be very careful. Be very mindful of how that's set up.
Absolutely, yes. So that's I think one thing. The second thing is, of course, like if you're trying to take the tacit knowledge of people, what is your IP versus what is their IP? What are they willing to share and things like that. So
that sense of transparency is really important.
It is, yes.
Why are you asking for this information? How is it going to be used? Where is it going to be stored?
Yes.
How might it come up later?
Yeah.
Can I say no? Yes, you can.
Yes, and willingness of people to be able to do that.
Yeah, so please don't record people without asking them. That's a standard. That's not a new rule. That's an old rule.
That's right.
Particularly important in the space of AI.
Yeah. So one route is, I talked about SharePoint. The second route is you can actually set up something which is called a vector database. So you know how normal databases would have like tables in it. Vector database store information in a different form. Like it's stored in such a way that you can find that information easily with large language models. So you can actually set up a vector database where you can store all of this organization, and you can do it as an internal thing, which means internet doesn't need to have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have a very simple large language model, which could be even like an open source large language model, or even a small language model, right? That can talk to it and can provide information. So if you are worried about OpenAI, ChatGPT,
or if you're working in a field or an organization or a business that has access to a lot of particularly sensitive information, then this is a good idea.
Yes, because we do not need, sometimes we don't need such powerful models for them to do a lot of fancy things as well.
Sometimes it's just being able to access the information that we need when we need it.
That's
and be able to share the information amongst a restricted team of people.
Absolutely.
In a timely and accessible way.
So a big myth around this is that for AI to be able to understand your information, you need to train it on your information. I think the train word is wrong, because training an AI model is a whole together different thing. What you can do is you can actually connect your knowledge with AI so that it's actually accessing the information.
So it's a really smart storage system.
It is, yes. It's called retrieval augmented generation. So whenever you ask it a question, ask it to do things RAG. Yeah. So whenever you're asking it for information, it actually searches for the relevant information in that vector database and then fetches the information and then provides a response from there. And that's good for 90% of use cases.
Yes.
You would only train a model if you want the model to do a very specific thing. And training a model is becoming easier as well. You can get an open source model, start with that, and then start to train it on specific skill sets or to do particular things. And that works out really well as well. So you've got multiple options to develop that AI brain. What you can also do is, like if you're doing it in SharePoint, that AI brain can be really good from the perspective of having that central knowledge base for humans to be able to refer to as well. So right now, humans can refer to it, your AI assistants can refer to it. But once you start to develop the AI agents, suppose you're inducting a new AI agent into your organization, because you've got that AI brain, all of the information is sitting there. It's so easy for this new AI agent to actually understand the context about your organization and work accordingly.
I mean, what's the coolest thing you've done with your AI brain at work?
So my AI brain has access to my calendar, my emails, all of the files and everything. So when I wake up and I've got a voice interface, I can say, what's up, what's happening, what are the things that I need to catch up on. So it can say, like, this is what has happened in the world, boss. These are some of the emails that you need to look at. These are your meetings. This is what you need to be prepared for. I looked at the sales. There are like few potentials that are like, this is happening in terms of projects that's happening. So that's just giving me all of the information from around the organization, but refining the information and telling me what I need to know. And then I can say to it, okay, can we delegate this task to this? Can you follow up on this report and blah, blah, blah. So it can go and then perform those actions in different systems for me. So it's like having that true assistant. And I wouldn't say
assistants.
Yes. And I wouldn't say it's like 100% there.
Yeah.
It's getting there. Like, and I don't want people to just come to me and say, hey, can you build me one? Because
how long has it taken you to build this?
It has taken a long time. Like, I would say we have been doing it for like last 1.5 years.
Yeah. And that's an important message, because I mean, you're in this space. This is your passion. It's also your job.
Yeah.
You've got a team of people around you that are very invested and very passionate and knowledgeable in the space, and it's taken you 1.5 years.
That's right.
It isn't something that you can just pop out and
And I still have a human assistant who's helping me manage it, right? So you can't manage you can't replace a human assistant. I think it's a very complicated role. But I would say, like, being able to have access to all of that information on the tip of my fingertips. And that's something that's possible. Like for you to be able to ask, hey, what's happening here? What's happening there? It can do that. I think that the challenge comes in when there are nuances to what it needs to do as well. Allocation and so on is easy.
But for all the people in the world that have a very high admin load in their role, this could be something that allows them to be far more productive and, might save them a few grey hairs.
100%. And then if you do not want to go and ask your team members to provide their tacit knowledge, I would say start by capturing all of the documents that you have, put it in there, all of your meetings, notes and things like that. Get all of your structured data and then start to follow the process for yourself. And I've done it extensively because in the process, especially in last 2 or 3 years, I have learned a lot in the AI space, and I didn't want that information to stay with me. So I've actually spent a lot of time feeding my AI brain about what I am doing, how I am doing it, and things like that, so that my team members can have access to that knowledge and it's not dependent on me.
Yeah, that's really important. And before I dig a little bit further into that, I would say that again, you say start with the structured document, start with the data that you have, feeding it in there. But before you do that, please go back to our previous episode, which is about AI governance, and just make sure that you've given some real thought to what's being fed into that system in the first place. But once you have, and once you've understood what should and shouldn't go in there, you're comfortable with what's going in there. This is the kind of thing. So I find this fascinating because I think, for me, one of the great promises of AI and one of its areas of greatest value is the fact that we have incredible amounts of tacit knowledge in the world. We have incredible expertise, a really valuable expertise that is very, very hard to access, whether there's not enough people with that knowledge, or whether it's really expensive, or whether they're, for all of the reasons, whether it's a location, a distance thing. Yeah. A lot of the problems that we have that we can't solve en masse is because we can't get to the people that actually really understand this stuff. And it's too hard to get that information out there. You're only one person. We can't just clone you and send you out. But with an AI brain, we can.
We can, yes, absolutely.
And that to me is really interesting. My thoughts go to experts in areas of healthcare, not just to be able to have greater access to someone who's an expert in their field, but for them to be able to train their teams with this expert knowledge. I mean, if we think about the way that in a lot of emergency wards where they've got a children's emergency, those staff members are trained at the children's hospital. Yeah. So it's an example of very physical tacit knowledge sharing. But we have this opportunity now to have expert knowledge to be able to train people in all sorts of fields.
That's right.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, yes.
We have areas of skill shortage across the trade sector that's really very specific and niche. And it's really hard to get people into those areas because there's not enough people to train them in the beginning. Yeah. They're too busy working because there's not too many of them. So how do we overcome those problems?
Oh, 100%.
How do we provide people with really good expert financial advice when they need it to be able to restructure their lives? How do we be able to, open up the fields of mental health care? So many areas.
Absolutely. And if you think that if you're listening to this and you think you're really good at something, and if you want to put it out there or share with your team members, try a very simple ChatGPT prompt. Just say, hey, ChatGPT, I am really good at writing viral LinkedIn posts, and I've tried a lot with my marketing team. They are not able to write it like that. I don't know how to communicate it. Can you design an interview and ask me a series of questions that will help you get enough information so that an agent or a human can follow it and create viral LinkedIn post? So if you just put this prompt in, it's going to come up with a series of questions.
So cool.
And I can continue to answer those questions. It can keep on asking more and more questions, because at the end of, once I've provided the answer, I'll say, do you have any more questions that will help you expand your knowledge?
That's fantastic.
I'm just going to continue to interview you. And at the end, you will have like a full knowledge, but also a very clear guidelines on how to create a LinkedIn viral post, Amir Kutub style.
I love that. I also have just thought of another challenge, and I want people that are listening to immediately go and find either whether it's themselves or their kids or someone in their family that is the most techie person, and then go to the person in their family that cooks the most amazing things that you just can't learn, and do that process.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Nana's cooking.
That's right. Yes.
She might not share it. Or it might be, Papa, and he might not share it too. You have to ask them first. But yeah, this ability to knowledge share for an older generation that isn't very technical or not technical at all, but has these great depths of tacit knowledge that we would love to be able to share.
Yes. What I've started to do with my father, because he's getting older, is when I get on phone calls, I generally, I would, of course, seek his consent and record it. But I ask him questions about, especially if I've got enough time, just ask him questions about his life and
his
this experience and that experience, so on. I'm actually capturing all of that because I want to sort of create a book from there and give it to him.
Magical thing to be able to use AI for as well.
And then, but also for my kids to be able to read the story about their grandpas and so on.
Yeah.
And that was not possible before.
No.
It's just not possible.
No, the time that it would have. So these were processes that if someone had enough time to sit down with someone to record their thoughts, to transcribe it out, to put it into these stories, that all takes time.
That's
Otherwise,
right,
they live in that storytelling tradition of someone's told someone, and you don't really have that story from the original source.
Yeah.
And there's nothing quite like that. There's magic in that.
But also, like, how do you structure what you have to say as well? Like, how do you ask
the right questions? How do you prompt and keep the conversation going?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when, Nana's yelling at you and saying, don't tell people that. And when she does, you have to respect it, but still.
That's right. Yes.
This is a really fascinating field. So, okay, you've given us some tips on how to start to set up your AI brain.
Yeah.
Any other directions that you can send us in? Because, I don't know, I'm sitting here thinking about food.
I think I would say start by, like, the easiest point is your already the documents that you have. Start by capturing all of that in there and just try creating one simple knowledge agent and see how you can start to get information from there. And then once you do it, once you get one agent right, it could be your HR agent, which has got access to all of your policies and procedures and can provide the answers. Then you will start to get addicted to it. And you'll be like, oh, I need more knowledge. I needed to have all of the answer. Then you start to convert that information.
It's a conversation that will never end.
It won't, yes. And so you probably start somewhere, like make a small start. You don't need to build the whole brain right now. But start somewhere, start on this journey, and just slowly start to add things to your brain from there.
Amir, I'm fascinated by the idea of an AI brain, but I think something that we absolutely have to do just between you and me is that by the time we come back in next time, I think you need to have a name for your AI brain.
I'll have one, yes.
Fantastic, thank you. I would absolutely recommend doing a deep dive through science fiction, for instance, and I'm just going to caveat this by saying that you cannot have the name from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because that's mine. It is deep thought and the answer will always be 42.
Sure, I'll take care of that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And thank you for joining us on The Dumb Monkey Show. I hope you've enjoyed this latest episode. I hope you're really excited about getting in there and creating your own AI brain, if only it is to find out how to make that apple pie, that curry, that incredible Christmas pudding that someone in your family makes. Start there, or, do the world a favor and start sharing your knowledge, because it is one of the best things that we can do. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on The Dumb Monkey Show.